Hi, and welcome to Movements and Styles in Art History by high school art and design teacher Joshua Smith. Each semester, students like you find themselves enrolled in art class for the first time. Ideally, you enroll because you have a passion for art and want to explore that passion to create something you can be proud of. While this is an admirable goal, just like any subject, to really master it, you must first understand the history of how that subject got to be where it is today. So, for this first module, we will explore 6 important movements and styles in the history of art: what they are, when they happened, and what they meant. From the 1870s and Impressionism to the 1950s and pop art, we will explore the huge variety of art movements that have continually made an impact on our past and present society and culture. First up, Impressionism. Taking place from 1870 to 1890, Impressionism was the name given to a colorful style of painting in France at the end of the 19th century. The Impressionists searched for a more exact analysis of the effects of color and light in nature. In short, they sought to capture the atmosphere of a particular time of day or the effects of different weather conditions. They often worked outdoors and applied their paint in small, brightly colored strokes, which meant sacrificing much of the outline and detail of their subject. Next, the second movement is Expressionism. Spanning 1905 to 1925, Expressionism was a style of art that is charged with emotional or spiritual vision of the world. The expressive paintings of Vincent van Gogh and Edvard Munch influenced the Expressionists. Beginning in Germany and the surrounding areas, Expressionists also drew their inspiration from German Gothic and primitive art. Third, let's examine the movement of Cubism. A movement from 1907 to 1915, Cubism was invented in Paris by Pablo Picasso and Georges Braque. It was the first abstract style of modern art. In fact, Cubist paintings ignore the traditions of perspective drawing and show you many views of a subject at one time. The Cubists believed that the traditions of Western art had become exhausted, so to revitalize their work, they drew on the expressive energy of art from other cultures, particularly African art. For the fourth movement, let's examine Constructivism. Constructivism occurred in Russia from 1913 to 1930 and used geometric language to support the socialism of vision, the utopian glimpse of a mechanized modern society according to the political ideals of the time. However, this was not an art that was easily understood by the masses, and it was eventually repressed and replaced by realism. Nevertheless, like most important art movements, it conveyed a timelessness that is studied and appreciated even today. Our fifth style is Surrealism. Starting in 1924 and continuing to 1939, Surrealism's aim, as outlined in the first Surrealist Manifesto of 1924, was to liberate the artist's imagination by tapping into the unconscious mind to discover a superior reality, or a surreality. To achieve this, the Surrealists drew upon the images of dreams and the spontaneous. The look of the Surrealist art was inspired by the irrational juxtaposition of images in collages, metaphysical art, and both primitive and outsider art. Lastly, our final movement we'll examine is pop art. In 1954 to 1970, pop art was the art movement that characterized a sense of optimism during the post-war consumer boom of the 1950s and 60s. It coincided with the globalization of pop culture, personified by musicians like Elvis and the Beatles. Pop art was brash, colorful, young, fun, and hostile to the artistic establishment. It included different styles of painting and sculpture from various countries, but what they all had in common was an interest in pop culture. The stark look of pop art emerged from a fusion of collages and the imagery of consumer culture. So, in review, we have examined 6 art history movements or styles like Impressionism, Expressionism, Cubism, Constructivism, Surrealism, and pop art. In the end, we must remember that the reason why we study these movements is to better understand the foundations of art as a medium. Essentially, no matter which period of art history you study, there were personal, political, sociological, and religious reasons behind each movement. Untangling them provides another window to understanding the history of our human race. Well, that is the end of my presentation on movements and styles in art history. I would like to thank you for watching and also credit the Creative Commons images used in the presentation. Once again, thanks for watching, and goodbye.